viewers, and welcome to this very special interview for the Newsfirst team. I'm Jamal Ratnayaka. Today we will be speaking of an excitable, intriguing, interesting topic, that is business process management and robotic process automation, that is centering around the bigger picture of technology. As you know, technology has taken over our lives, our workplaces. We have drones delivering our goods to us. We have robots building our cars for us, and now inevitably the workplace is also being taken over by robotics and technology. But that is entirely not a bad thing, and I have two renowned gentlemen here today to discuss about that, and also about a very interesting event that is happening later this month. And today we are joined by Mr. Shanaka Fernando, BPM Forum Head of SLASSCOM. So SLASSCOM is the Sri Lanka Association for Software Services Companies. And we also have Mr. Rohit Pradeep, who is the alternate BPM Forum Head of SLASSCOM, and also the organizer or the chairman of the event that we are going to talk about, that is the RPA Online Conference 2020. Very good evening to both you gentlemen.
Thank you.
Before we head into the event and talk about what it will inculcate, Shanaka, let me ask you, what is SLASSCOM? And when I was going through your website the other day, it says SLASSCOM drives the imagination economy, Sri Lanka's industry of the future. Can you elaborate on this, please?
Thank you very much, Jamal. First of all, thank you very much for the opportunity given to SLASSCOM this evening to talk about SLASSCOM as well as this year's RPA conference. So let me start with what is SLASSCOM is all about. SLASSCOM is the national chamber for the knowledge and innovation hub. So today, SLASSCOM as an industry, we have over about 200 members representing the SLASSCOM industry, as well as we have over about 35,000 direct jobs in this industry. If you look at SLASSCOM, you asked about the imagination, how we want to do that. So SLASSCOM want to be the biggest or the #1 export revenue for the Sri Lanka. That's what the SLASSCOM, the vision that we want to be. If you look at SLASSCOM, we have created a vision statement in terms of we want to achieve these targets by 2025. We want to achieve about 5 billion export revenue, USD actually, revenue for the industry. This year, the board of directors, the chairman is Channa Manoharan. Under his leadership, we have 9 forums. So I'll name it those 9 forums. We have marketing forum, capacity forum, regional development forum, entrepreneurship forum, technology forum, quality forum, BPM forum, innovation forum, and people forum. So with that 9 forum, SLASSCOM working together to make sure that Sri Lanka, we become the #1, the revenue earner for Sri Lanka with regard to the export revenue.
Really exciting times ahead on the technological front in Sri Lanka. Now, if I may direct your attention towards a very special event that is happening. Rohit, we know that the 2020 RPA Online Conference is happening from the 9th to the 11th of December this year, with the entire week being named the SLASSCOM RPA week. We know RPA is robotic process automation, so the 2020 Robotic Process Automation Conference is happening for the second time around, because last time in 2019 it was the first of its kind when it happened. Am I correct, Rohit? And being the chairman, can you please tell me what is RPA Conference 2020 in brief?
Yes. Yeah. So we're having this conference from the 9th to the 11th of December. It's a follow-on to the conference that we had last year, which was an overwhelming success. We had close to 300 people attend the conference. We were only expecting close to 100 to 150, but we had double that amount who came. So we had representation across all industries, from telcos to retail to FMCG, IT companies, BPO companies who came to the conference. And so we thought this year, let's do a follow-on conference, but due to the conditions this time that are prevailing, we have now the challenge of taking it virtually. which was guided by Chairman Channa Manoharan and Jahan, said, let's try and do this before the end of the year. So this time around, we have platinum sponsor who is UiPath, which is the world's leading provider of automation technologies, along with their partner eGuardian. Then our silver sponsors are Potenza, a local company who does consulting for RPA projects. They not only do work here in Sri Lanka, but also for Maldives and Bangladesh and Southeast Asia. And then we have Millennium IT as well, who implements automation solutions for other companies as well.
So before we head into the particulars of the conference, let me ask you about robotic process automation.
Yes.
We know that robotic process automation is, they are software tools used to automate human activities which are manual, rule-based and repetitive, so that humans can be involved in the more knowledge-based activities, whereas robotics and robots can engage in the more menial tasks. However, there is a, I feel personally, there is a common misconception to the tune that robots are taking over our workplaces and we are going to be made redundant very soon.
Correct.
Is it true?
Yes, thanks first for clarifying what RPA was. So when we were actually promoting this this conference, a lot of people thought it's a physical robot doing the work. Yes, there are physical robots doing automation work, but when we refer to the term of RPA, it's actually software-based tools and products that take over the more routine work of your day. So in this field, some of the top players are UiPath, Automation Anywhere, Antworks, Pegasus, Blue Prism. So these are some of the top players which are in this game. So in the last maybe 3 to 4 years, we've seen a massive surge of automation technologies coming on board. And it's now, this year, it's going to approach a $1 billion industry. That's how fast it's growing.
It's globally?
Globally. So year on year, it's grown 40%.
How about in Sri Lanka?
Sri Lanka, it's since last year's conference, we're proud to say that it's been a catalyst. UiPath itself, who was one of the principal sponsors, told us soon after the conference, close to 5 to 6 companies walked up to them and said, hey, we'd like to start our journey. And over the last year, they've closed 7 to 8 businesses within the country. We feel it's not fast enough. We feel that there should be much more proactive adaptation of it. And what we've seen is during the pandemic time, when the coronavirus situation hit globally, actually automation and digitization were one of the very few things that were cut off from budgets. They wanted to continue with. I think one of the biggest challenges is basically people are scattered all over. So how do they continue their operations? So automation is one way of doing it to ensure business.
You need that framework to reach out to the people.
Yes, to continue business continuity. So you've seen aggressive growth from some of the top players globally. And but within Sri Lanka, there is momentum, but I feel that it should be faster. So I think in order to address that, I think the main thing is addressing maybe knowledge gaps in companies. This primarily needs to be driven by the leadership of these companies. So
let's go back to talking about the conference.
Yes.
We know it is going on for a span of 3 days.
Yes.
9 to the 11th.
9 to the 11th. And plus we have that the event with the ACCA. That's happening on the 7th. 7th. So that is also an event that is sort of driven by UiPath and eGuardian. So within automation, finance is one of the fields where you see very fast adoption of automation. So our primary goal in partnership with the ACCA and eGuardian is to basically educate students about automation. Not only for their current knowledge purposes, but also how their own careers is going to transform in the future.
So this is open for all ages?
It's open for all ages. So it's going to the ACCA students and also the ACCA membership.
Right.
And post that talk, there will be a challenge that will be given to the students and anyone else, any professionals who participate. So UiPath has this program called Citizen Development Program. So the first 3 people who submit their assignment and who get it right will qualify for this citizen development program. So it's a great initiative from UiPath to sort of
certainly. So if we move on towards the main conference that is happening from the 9th to 11th, who are the key panelists that will be taking part? We know that a myriad of events have been organized. It's just not the conference and the panelists speaking out. So can you apprise us of that?
Sure. So we spread this out over 3 days. We know people can't sit in front of a screen from 9 to 5. So on each day, it's starting off at 3 p.m. It goes on till 6:30. And we wanted to cover a range of subjects. So the very first day is more focused on how does one start their journey in RPA. So
that is the 9th?
That is the 9th.
Okay.
So that is addressing the leaders of these organizations or people who are curious in the organization how to start. So our very first talk is actually how to start your RPA journey. So this is by a renowned consultant by the name of Steve Palmino, who's based in the US. So he'll be talking to companies about how do you take those first few steps about the RPA journey, and what are the things you need to put in place, what are the typical stumbling blocks you will come across in your journey of RPA. And the second part of the program, we have 2 parallel talks that are happening. If you don't mind, I'll just refer I'll just refer to the program itself. We have 2 sessions that are happening in parallel. One is streamlining enterprise process with intelligent automation. So that is about the emergence of AI within processes that are coming. So what you typically have now is called dumb RPA. So it's more rule-based sort of automation that happens. But how does the process adapt as the process also changes and evolves? So how does the technology itself evolve in that?
Such technology has been invented.
Yes, and it's evolving in that direction. And then in parallel to that, we have workplace culture changes. So this goes back to your previous question of how do you address people resistance, and how
because we know you have to unfreeze the workplace before you're able to make the change and then refreeze them.
Exactly. So there is the people challenge as well, getting to them to understand how this technology is actually going to revolutionize the workplace. And the other thing is negating fears. So the typical thing is people are fearful of, okay, what's going to happen to my job? So one of the statistics I saw from the World Economic Forum is once AI and automation comes in, there's close to 20 to 30 million jobs that are going to be automated. Not just by RPA, but you have self-driving cars, which
because technology spills over to
exactly.
majority of the industry.
All fields of life. So, but here we'll just be addressing the workplace.
Right.
So, how do they manage that process? How do they manage people's fears? How do they basically create a plan for people? So, some companies. So I attended a seminar maybe 2 years ago. It was a reputable bank, and they started their RPA journey quite some time back. So one of the elements they had in the plan is how do they help people upskill? So they tell people in a year or 2 time, your job is going to be automated. So what is the alternative path that you have in this company? And this company was gracious enough to have an upskilling program, which would help them sort of pivot into other careers, in this company. But it's also to tell the people, in some cases, it's not going to replace your job completely. For example, an accountant. Some of the more routine and rule-based part of it will be taken over by the bot. But these are routine things which people are bored of doing every day, and it's not fulfilling. So the management of this company then can tell these people, look, why don't you step away from the routine stuff and use your mind on more value-addition stuff, such as analysis, strategy development around the financial objectives. So there is an element.
Initiation should come from the company itself.
In
the terms of upskilling.
Yeah. So the leadership needs to drive that and sort of manage it. It won't be an easy journey, for sure. There are people who will basically resist it immensely. But I think if it's managed well by the leadership, you can do so. So this talk will be particularly focused centering on that. Then we have another 2 parallel sessions. The next one is the relevance of RPA and getting it right. How do you identify those processes? Not everything is a good candidate for automation. It depends on the level of technology adaptation that can happen for that process. So as I said before, the more routine rule-based processes can be taken on. So a lot of the common things have been some of the marketing automation. Some processes in HR can be automated. finance and accounting functions can. So that's where we've seen most of the automation
But
happen.
the major decisions lie with our cognitive ability, the humans, essentially.
Exactly. So over there, you need to identify what you start with, what do you prioritize, and where do you divert your investment towards. When you see these low-hanging fruits being automated, that gives you confidence, yes, this technology is working. So that basically is, this talk is mainly about how do you guide through that process.
How you get off the ground in terms of
how
RPA.
do you identify, how would you identify it?
Okay.
And the next part of it is, which is happening in parallel, is basically about the risk management. So you have, so the other commonplace fear that happens is, maybe the heads of IT will be like, okay, if this technology is coming in, what are the risks to my process? You have auditors also coming in and saying, okay, what are the risks to the company?
What
technology
about
risk,
data security?
Data security side of it. So that is the risk aspect. So that is one of the key questions leaders will ask is, how do we manage this risk as well while we implement it? So this talk will be more focused on that, and the day will close with a panel discussion.
This is the second day?
This is the first day.
First day.
Wow,
first day.
okay. With the panel discussion, and it will be moderated by Jehan, who's the chairman for our forum.
Okay.
And he'll be talking to 3 players, so in the industry, who will be talking about how does a company manage this transformation.
Okay.
So the people in the panel will talk about their experiences of managing this transformation. And it's also an opportunity for the audience who's interested to basically engage with the panel. So we will be taking questions in this panel, and it's an opportunity for them, anybody who's about to start their RPA journey or who's thinking about it, it's an opportunity for them to engage with the panelists.
On that note, Rohit, let's talk about how one can access this conference, because it is virtual after all. Correct. And there might be a lot of ambiguity surrounding the whens and hows and how you can access this conference. Correct. Can you brief us on that?
Sure. So we have a Facebook page. It's called the SLASSCOM RPA, RPA Beacon. So you can log on our line. You can see brief details about it. You will see the profiles of all the renowned speakers who will be taking part in this conference. And there is a link which you can click onto, which will have details of the agenda for all 3 days, and also how you can pay and register for the conference. But you can always write to us as well if there are any details that you need further clarification. You can come to our SLASSCOM page and find contact details as well. Even the contact details are there on the Facebook page. You can both email us and write to us.
Shall we repeat that Facebook name once more? It's SLASSCOM?
SLASSCOM RPA Week.
SLASSCOM RPA Week, that is on Facebook, their Facebook page. You can, if you are interested and you want to register, head on to the SLASSCOM RPA Facebook page to register for this exciting conference. I'm sorry I disturbed you. Just let's move on with the details of the conference. What about the second day?
Yes. So second day, let me just refer my notes. So yes, so day 2, the opening session will be by a platinum sponsor, UiPath. So they'll be talking about process mining. So it's one of the trends that's happening in RPA. So they'll deep dive into that and what that means for organizations. Then the second part of it will be called supercharged RPA. So that again is talking about the AI that is being incorporated into it. And the second session that will be happening in parallel is how can BPOs package RPA as a solution. So both myself and Shanaka are part of BPO companies. So Shanaka is part of WNS, which is one of the leading finance and accounting BPOs, which is headquartered in Mumbai with offices globally. And I'm part of an organization called St. Anthony's Knowledge Services. And we are also catered to finance and accounting. So like us, there are many BPOs who also want to start their RPA journey. But how do they package their knowledge of RPA as a service to their clients? How do they monetize that? How do they add value to their clients? Because sometimes their clients are also not aware of RPA and what it can do for them. So how do BPOs like us package that to clients and sell that as a service? So that will be one of the talks that will be happening in parallel. Then the second session, there will be 2 parallel talks that will be going on. One is trends in IT automation, and that will be a case study on Virtusa. So we have two leaders in their automation journey who will be talking about their journey in IT. So that will be very interesting for other IT companies who also want to see what aspects of their organization can they automate. So our hope is they will get inspired by Virtusa and to start their own journey in this. And in parallel, we have the decline of RPA and the rise of operations intelligence platforms. So that also is about how AI is being infused in RPA. So as I said before, it's what we have now is dumb RPA, which is we define the rules as to how this should automate. But as I mentioned before, as our processes get more complicated, how does the RPA adapt to it? So we have the rise of this platform, AI being infused into the platform. So we have a renowned speaker who is an ex-Gartner consultant who will be talking about this aspect. Then it breaks into a Q&A and the audience can basically engage with him.
So Rohit, since we spoke about day 1, let's talk about day 2 and day 3 and what other events are happening simultaneously with the conference.
Sure. So while day 1 focus more on how does one start their journey, day 2 will have a more technology focus, right? So opening this day is UiPath, who's our chief principal sponsor, platinum sponsor for the day. They will be talking about one of the trends which is happening within automation, which is called process mining. So it's a data science-based digital transformation. So they will focus on that talk, and that will end with a Q&A session where you can ask more questions from them. And the second part of it is called Supercharge RPA, the next generation intelligent digital workforce. That will be done by a silver sponsor, that is MIT. So that is referring back to how AI is coming into automation. So they will be focused over there. Then in parallel, we'll have a talk from on how can BPOs package RPA as a solution to their clients. So myself and Shanaka belong to the BPO industry. So our challenge is how do we add value to our clients? So some of them also don't know, have a higher awareness of what RPA is. So how do we package that as a service to our clients and basically educate them on how we can add RPA to bring down their costs? So we have a speaker there who has done that already for their clients, and he will sort of enlighten the audience on that. Then that ends with a Q&A session with both speakers. You can attend one of the two. Then the next session will be from Virtusa, a case study on Virtusa about their automation journey. They're one of the local leaders on how they've incorporated automation into their company. So we have two leaders who will be talking about their journey, and this will be very educational to IT companies who want to sort of explore that journey. Then in parallel, we have the decline of RPA and the rise of operations intelligence platforms. So that will be done by an ex-Gartner consultant who will be talking about, as I was saying earlier, about we are coming out of dumb RPA and how AI is being infused into operations and how it can sort of adapt when as the process becomes more complex and it changes and evolves. So we'll be talking about that. Then it will go into a Q&A session with these two speakers. You can choose either. Then we will end with a panel that day. So that panel will talk about the latest trends in RPA. So basically we will have someone from UiPath talk about it. We have the representative from MIT who will also be on the panel. We have someone from MAS. So MAS is also considered to be one of the leaders here who have been taken on automation in their journey. Pioneers in automation here. So we have someone from there who will be talking about their journey, which will be very interesting for the locals to come. And we'll have a representation from Dialogue as well, who will also be talking about their journey. So I noticed a lot of the local industry players wanted some insight into that. So that's why we organized the panel. Then on day 3, we will be focusing on quite a few case studies. So one would be the RPA journey in HSBC. So within banking, they're considered one of the leaders in automation. So we have someone from a representative from the bank who will be talking about that journey. Then we have a representative talking about RPA in financial services in general, and they may talk about how that journey happens in the banking and financial institutions, and how does it's a more pointed case study over there in that industry. Then we have someone from the industry by the name of sales automation. So we have someone talking about how does one take their sales to online messaging platforms like WhatsApp. let's say you're a business owner who's selling cakes, but you don't have all the time in the day to be on WhatsApp engaging your customers. So what you can do is on WhatsApp, you can automate that interaction with the client. Everything from taking your order to giving the choice to that. So that's very interesting for retail and sales companies. Okay. So we have someone talking about that. And last but not least, we have a case study recognition section. So what we are also doing is we're having a case study competition.
Okay.
So we've invited industries companies who have basically started their journey to submit what they have done so far. And we have close to about 14 or 15 companies have submitted.
Okay.
And within this section, we'll be announcing who are the winners and the runners-up, but also getting them to talk about how they started their journey, what was the problem statement they wanted to address, what was the technology they adopted, and what were the results of that. So I think that will be very interesting for local companies, because I think that's where they will draw their inspiration from. So that will be the last segment of day 3. And then we would close the formalities of the conference.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much, Rohit, for apprising us of how the conference will work and the inner workings of the conference. If I am to direct my attention towards Shanaka, we know that the two of you are the heads of the BPM forum of SLASSCOM. Can you tell us a bit about BPM, how it has evolved over time and how it is faring in Sri Lanka?
So thank you. I'll start with what we are planning to do this year from the BPM forum. So this year our BPM forum focus mainly in 4 areas. First one is we want to do an industry study to understand about the BPM, the landscape, how many companies that we have in Sri Lanka, how many workforce that we have, and who are our client base, what countries that we are providing support. Likewise, we want to do a BPM industry, the study. So which we have taken that initiative this year, and we have engaged with a consultancy firm in order to do the study for us, and we already started that. So that's when we have that study, we can able to go and sell it Sri Lanka in much wider range with regard to the skills and the services that we have, and that will be a very good opportunity for us to tell the globals in terms of what Sri Lanka as a BPM organization we can able to offer. So that's the first priority that we have taken. The second one from the BPM forum this year, our focus is to create a what you call career path for the people who joining the BPM industry. If you look at today, traditionally somebody wants an organization, they want to be a doctor or a proctor or an engineer, maybe an accountant, a lawyer. Those are all traditional jobs that they want to do, right? So today the BPM industry, what we want to do is creating a career path. A school leave or a fresher who are looking for a change in the job, they can join the BPM industry by end of 2 to 3 years, or maybe in the span of 5 years time, what will be my position. So they have a very clear understanding, the vision in terms of when I join today as an associate or an agent, after 5 years time, where I am going to
Where will I be?
Right. So that will be the career path that we are going to create this from the BPM forum. That will give a good visibility, people who want to join, and they can accelerate the future or the journey by becoming an assistant manager or manager in the BPM industry. So one of the advantage that they have. Third one, if you look at today, the BPM industry or more of a focus on Colombo base. So we want to create the BPM industry footprint to the regional hubs. Example, we want to go to Negombo, we want to go to Galle, we want to go to Hambantota, we want to go to Jaffna. Likewise, the centers, there are
branch out.
Right, branch. So this will also create the talent pool. They can able to work from that particular area and to earn their wages rather than they all come into Colombo to the job. So that's the third opportunity that we want to do that.
So thank you very much, Shanaka, for pricing on us on what BPM is and how it joins with RPA as well. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for you today to conduct this interview. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me. We were joined by Mr. Shanaka Fernando, the BPM Forum Head of SLASSCOM, that is Sri Lanka Association for Software Services Companies, and also we were joined by Mr. Rohit Pradeep, Alternate BPA Forum Head of SLASSCOM, and also the Chairman of the 2020 RPA Online Conference, a very exciting conference that is happening from the 9th to the 11th of December. So if you are definitely interested in these topics, please do register on their Facebook page, that is SLASSCOM RPA, and join in on this conference. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Take care, stay safe, and have